Each year, an estimated 2 million people suffering from mental illness are booked into county jails in the United States. Well, now law enforcement officials and others in several Oklahoma counties are looking for better ways to handle these individuals, getting them the treatment they need to help break the cycle of mental illness and incarceration.
It's a scene that plays out repeatedly in courtrooms across the country. Inmates from county jails going before a judge for sentencing. Many of them suffer mental health or substance abuse issues with little or no family or social support systems to help them. It's a scene that plays out repeatedly in courtrooms across the country. Inmates from county jails going before a judge for sentencing. Many of them suffer mental health or substance abuse issues with little or no family or social support systems to help them. Cleveland County is the latest county in Oklahoma to launch an effort aimed at keeping people with mental health or behavioral issues out of jail. The Stepping Up initiative is a national campaign that trains criminal justice professionals to identify mental illness and respond appropriately. Cleveland County Commissioner Darius Stacy says he first heard about the Stepping Up initiative while attending a conference in the nation's capital.
Immediately I thought, well, that's something that we could use in Cleveland County. That's something that we could implement to really bring those providers, bring those people that deal with this on a regular basis together to address those issues.
Through the initiative, law enforcement officials are able to connect the dots, finding out what's needed, and getting those in the Cleveland County Detention Center the treatment they need.
And that's bringing providers, whether it be service providers, those that touch mental health in different areas, together so that we can all look at how we can best address this issue as a community.
Cleveland County Sheriff Todd Gibson says inmates are still held accountable, but adds it's not enough to be tough on crime.
We can attack the crime all day long, but until we address the mental health issue that's really at root of the problem, we're never going to solve the crime issue.
The Stepping Up process begins with a survey of inmates to determine what percentage of the jail's population suffers with mental health disorders and what diagnoses are most common.
Just in the short time that we've done this, we've identified 45 people, 45 people, mind you, that we've been able to identify as in need of some sort of mental health intervention or substance abuse intervention and refer them out to services.
Bonnie Peruzzi is executive director of the Transition House in Norman and serves as co-chair of the Cleveland County Mental Health Task Force. Since she began at the Transition House more than 30 years ago, she's seen the state shut down bed space for indigent people who need treatment, resulting in many of them landing behind bars.
And the reality is prisons and jails were not designed to work with people who need mental health treatment or drug addiction treatment.
And she says that's not the fault of law enforcement.
I'm never going to blame the prison population or the prison system per se, because they didn't willingly accept this. They got it as a result of system underfunding, an effort to reduce cost when it came to treatment of an illness that requires a certain amount of funds to treat it.
Meanwhile, the price tag of incarceration is being borne by the jails and the prisons. Gibson says it costs $20,000 a year to house an inmate in the Cleveland County Jail.
If we can attack that number and we can pour resources and services and opportunities into people when they come into jail, hopefully when they get out, they won't come back.
Cleveland County is the third in the state to launch the Stepping Up initiative after Tulsa and Grant counties. Oklahoma County could soon join their ranks.
We're trying to figure out what it's going to look like here. If we do pass Stepping Up, where is our focus going to be? Is it going to be kind of mapping out the system, or is it going to be improving our data system? There's a lot of different ways you can run with Stepping Up.
Oklahoma County Commissioner Carrie Blumert says she's working on a draft resolution to launch the Stepping Up initiative in Oklahoma County in an effort to address problems at the county jail. most of which stem from a lack of funding.
Our jail has millions of dollars in deferred maintenance. Our mental health court and our drug courts, in my opinion, are not getting enough funding. So any work we do to help people, I think, is going to take more resources.
A judge recently deemed the Oklahoma County Jail unsafe for those suffering with mental illness, a claim which Blumert doesn't dispute, but she says most of the problems boil down to money, pointing out that every other county jail in Oklahoma is able to use sales taxes to fund operations.
In Oklahoma County, we have to take around $37 million from our property taxes to fund our jail. So we just don't have the revenue that other counties have because we don't have that dedicated sales tax.
That means people who might have gone to a treatment facility instead have to stay at the jail until a bed becomes available. Meanwhile, the Oklahoma City County Health Department is offering some help. Executive Director Gary Cox says they've used a grant from the Centers for Disease Control to pay for 2 community health workers to help high-need inmates.
Actually, what they do is they work with folks to try to get them out of the jail and back into the community where they can be productive citizens.
Those workers help with connections to community resources to get people into treatment and out of the jail system. Cox says the longer people remain behind bars, the more likely they are to suffer negative consequences, such as the loss of a job.
You're probably not going to have an income, and so you're going to lose your place to live. If you're in there for very long, it's a possibility you might lose your children as well.
The grant is set to expire in September, but Cox says they're hoping it will be renewed so that they can further expand the services.